Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we'll just chant all that we have done till now. These verses. Yatha nirindhano vanhihi svayo navupashamyati tatha vrittikshaya chittam svayo navupashamyati svayo navupashantasya manasas satyakamatah indriyartha vimudhasya nrita karma vashanugaha chittameva hi samsarah tat prayatnena shodhayet yat chittastanmayo bhavati guhyametat sanatanam chittasya hi prasadena hanti karma shubhashubham prasannatmatmani sthitva sukham avyayamashnute. So, we have seen these verses, very beautiful verses, and what does it say here? It says that, the what we call samsara is right here, between the two temples. Yeah, this is what the samsara that you think is somewhere in the jagat that is coming and troubling is not really there, because that doesn't mean jagat is not there. Jagat is there, which has its own reality, but the adhisthana of the jagat is in the same place. This is very important. Listen carefully. The adhisthana, the source, the truth of the jagat is in the same place where the jagat is cognized. Same cognition, that same faculty of cognition is which is the buddhi, manaha, whatever you want to call it, buddhi, and that buddhi cognizes objects, the jagat, which appears to be outside, because from the standpoint of the cognizer, everything is outside, starting with the body-mind complex. Correct? So that same faculty, which is the buddhi, is engaged in what is that? In vishaya gocharatvam, meaning it is cognizing, it is busy cognizing objects, meaning it is the same locus or the faculty which cognizes the objects. Jagatah upalabdhisthanam. So the locus of where the jagat is obtained, this is very important, is the same adhisthana where what? The truth of the jagat, is the same place where the adhisthana, the truth of the jagat, also obtains. So in other words, to make it even, to make it really plain, the place where object cognition takes place is the same locus where subject cognition takes place. Where anatma cognition takes place, that same locus, that same buddhi is the locus for atma cognition. So therefore, you see, we don't have two faculties of knowing. One part, like the stomach of the cow, the four stomachs, one for one for digesting this, like that. We don't have two faculties for knowing. One is to, all these useless things in the world, these objects, anatma, and then one special cognition to know atma. No, not really. Why? Because that is how it is. And also, since there is only one thing in the universe, and what is that? Atma. Even anatma is atma ultimately. So once when we know this, so therefore what? So therefore, since there is only one thing to know and there is only one locus given to know that thing, and that thing includes the Jagat, includes the concept of, includes Ishvaratvam. Ishvaratvam means what? The status of Jagat Karana. How did this Brahman become Ishvara, etc., etc., and the status of this Bhagavan. How did this Atma become Bhagavan? The answer is there is no coming, there is no going, there is no becoming. It just is. In relation to the Jagat, there is a status of Ishvaratvam, and that status is what? Incidental. Ishvara doesn't come and go. The status comes and goes, and this is what is, highlighted in all these verses, is that Jagataha Upalabdhisthanam, the place where the Jagat is cognized, is the same place where the I is also understood as being non-separate from everything. So you don't have knowing, because two things to know. So therefore, the subject-object division is taking place where? Right here. Correct. And that subject-object division need not cause what we call samsara. This is a step that is taken by the ahankara to internalize the objects as, raga, dvesha, inimical and conducive to me, and nice, not nice, all these dualities. It is because of the operation of the ahankara trying to individuate itself as a separate entity. So, what is the message over here? The message is that there is only one thing to know. And the Jagat as the object cognition need not cause problems for me, for oneself. And number one, the object cognition, this is a part. Okay? Why should it make me sad? It should not make me sad. This is a part. This is, hat, cat, mat, rat, so many things. And this is a pot, this is an umbrella, big deal, But then, the pot can cause sorrow when the pot is internalized. As what? As, when can the pot cause sorrow? Oh, this pot reminds me of my pot belly. That's why it's called pot belly. This pot reminds me of my pot belly is round, belly is also round, and how much I am, exercising, and how much I am running, jogging, how much I am doing everything, still there is no change. Why? Because this pot belly seems to like all other round things, rasagulla, gulab jamun, laddu, everything, and so therefore this pot, the sight of the pot makes me sad. You see, there is the subjectivity there, and that subjectivity is nothing but this chitta gone awry. We have seen this. Very important to understand that the source of samsara is not the Jagat. The source of samsara right here. So sankalpa, vikalpa, should I do this, should I do that, takes place. Same place where, difficulties and, what is that, raga, dvesha is there. Same place where the ahankara is in rebellion. Life after life it is in rebellion. And and what does it say? It says that I want to have what I want to have, And okay, I am Bhagavan, but Bhagavan has to listen to me, So like this kind of this rebellion is there. So it is the same, same place. It's the same exact place. That's why chitta shuddhi, that chitta is a very good word. Yeah, not to be confused with chit, which is all knowledge. Chittam, neuter, neuter. So this chittam is a place where, the emotions reign and the ahankara reigns, identifying with those aforementioned emotions, and the raga dveshas reign, and then, the ajnanam, is most felt in the ahankara's identification of the chitta. That's why there is a lot of discussion here about the chitta. And that's why the rishi just says outright, chittameva hi samsaraha tat prayatnena shodhayet. This chitta alone is samsara, there is no other samsara. But the jagat is different from me. What is this you? From this ahankara? Let it be. Yeah. No, but then this difference causes problems. Yeah, let them cause problems. No, then I'll be afraid and sad. Then what? Study Vedanta, Shastram, Patha. That's all there is. Because the difference is not a painful, pain-causing difference. This is what, this has to be part of every Vedanta student's understanding. And even if the understanding is not there, one has to cultivate this understanding with the help of Shastra and with the help of, Mananam. Mananam means just thinking about this, contemplating about this, understanding it logically, letting it sink in. And then the next time some difficulty hits, being strong in the face of those difficulties and not allowing it to affect oneself, more than is warranted. That is the whole thing. And so therefore, if the chitta, if the samsara is being born, the birthplace of samsara is the chitta, how do we ensure the death of samsara? Where does the death of samsara take place? Also in the chitta. When the cognition, akhandakara cognition takes place. Akhandakara vritti means the working of the means of knowledge. When the means of knowledge called Shabda Pramana, when it delivers the goods is you really. Yeah. So when it delivers that you are all that there is and you understand it because you are self-effulgent and self-conscious, and you understand that that you are the cause of the universe, with the help of the teaching, with the help of the Shastra, Guru Mukhat, and with the help of the teacher, you understand this, and then what happens? Samsara subsides. Will it come back? No. Because once you know something, you cannot unknow it. Once you see something, you cannot unsee it. And so therefore, it says that the source of samsara is the chitta, and the funeral of samsara is also chitta. And so that is what we have seen. Very beautiful, wonderful verses. So the last one we saw was what? Chittasya hi prasadena. So through this practice, so there is a 3-part practice which I just want to go over. So chittasya hi prasadena. So through the developing a cheerful disposition. And how do you develop a cheerful disposition? Through, Through cultivating acceptance. How do you cultivate acceptance? Through devotion and through understanding the law of karma, that this is all Bhagavan and Bhagavan is the actor, I am not the actor. And so through all this, you cultivate a certain cheerfulness and an acceptance. And the practice of this karma yoga, hanti, kills shubha karma. So shubha karma means papa. Papa means the uncomfortable effects of wrong action. And so that, of course, it kills. And then what else does it kill? Shubha also. Punya also it kills. Oh, but I don't want it to kill punya. Well, too much, Punya is also a golden cage. Just like the bird. Sometimes in ancient India, they used to bring the bird and keep, and the rich people used to put, the kings and all, used to put the bird in the golden cage. So golden cage is still a cage, correct? Same kind of bars. And so therefore what? So therefore the golden cage ensures that one is born again with a lot of riches and with a lot of comfort, where finding Vedanta becomes difficult. So therefore, Shubha and Ashubha is all the same for the Jnani, and this is where one is oriented towards. Right now you can shore up on the Punya, no problem, but understand that we are progressing to a place where it doesn't matter. All Punya Papa is given up, So, Prasanna Atma Atmani Sthitva. Prasannatma here means the one with a happy disposition. The one with a cheerful disposition. Atmani Sthitva. Atmani Sthitva means what? Abiding in the truth of the self, thanks to the practice of Karma Yoga, which prepares one for knowledge, and thanks to gaining of this knowledge, Sukham Avyayam Ashnute. What happens? Gains Sukha. And what kind of Sukha? Indeclinable. Avyaya means indeclinable Sukha, an unchanging Sukha. And then in the next verse, a thing is asked. What is that? A question is asked. A rhetorical question. Samasaktam yada chittam jantor vishayagochare yadyeva brahmani syatko namuchyeta bandhanat. So, samasaktam yada chittam. Actually, it should be yadi. Samasaktam yadi chittam. Let me look in the other text. Yatha. Not yada, yatha. See, these texts are, this was quite a challenge to get the proper wordings. I had to consult 5-6 versions of it. Samasaktam yatha chittam jantor vishayagochare yadyeva brahmani syat tatko namuchyeta bandhanat. So, there is a question here. Samasaktam means brought together. What? Chittam. This chittam, which is the chittam means the mind with with the ahankara, the buddhi going in one direction, ahankara freaking out, chittam having a tantrum, and then manaha wondering what to do, this, that, all these things. So, instead of being all over the place, all the various components of what is called manaha, the mind, including the emotive faculty, chittam, ahankara, the I notion, buddhi, the decisive faculty, and the faculty, the intellect, and finally what? Buddhi, and finally manaha, the indecisive aspect. So, all of them have come together here. Samasaktam. So, when do they come together? When do all these things, when do they come together? They come together, when the whole attention goes towards an object. So it's not that only in Vedanta they come together. They come together even in the pursuit of objects, is it not? Not just in the pursuit of the subject. So when one is keenly pursuing an object, then what happens? What happens then? Then something funny happens. What is that? You are not even aware of yourself. You have no awareness of yourself as separate. You have completely merged with the object that you have pursued. Whether it's an object, an event, a person, a relationship, or even a pursuit. You don't even know how much time has gone. Otherwise, this person was having trouble. How will I occupy myself? In this time. How will I occupy myself? What will I do? Maybe in those days where you couldn't have your smart devices, tablets, etc. on. in the plane. Everything had to be off. There was no airplane mode was not allowed. And so in those times, what did you have to do? You had to just sit quietly. And supposing that video monitor was not working, you had to just read a book. Then let's say this person, one such person who was very worried how to kill time on a coast-to-coast flight, 4-5 hours, how to kill time, how to pass the time, oh my God. And then suddenly started to read the book, and let's say the book was very interesting, some kind of a big drama book, very persuasively written, extremely well written, the characters have come to life, and the person was transported to a different reality, and then what? And then suddenly was heard the announcement, put on your seat belt, we are landing in 15 minutes. How did this happen? This is when samashaktam yatha chittam jantoho. Jantoho means of this creature, not even worthy of being called a human being, because just like the animal, like you give some filth, some kind of, what is that? Mud and everything for the pig to roll in, and the pig is just unaware of anything, unaware of predators, unaware of itself, unaware of food. It's rolling in the mud. It has become, there is this ekikaranam. Ekikaranam means this oneness with the mud. This oneness it has developed with the mud. It is not aware of anything else. And same thing with a dog. Dog has developed oneness with the treat. Or the squirrel that has climbed a tree, it is looking at the squirrel. When are you going to come down? Why did not Bhagavan make me also be able to climb trees? Wait till you come down. I am looking. When you come down, at some point, what goes up must come down. Yeah, dog is aware of the law of thermodynamics. What goes up must come down. Every action is equal, opposite gravity, it knows. So it is sitting there waiting. It's every muscle, every attention, every nerve, everything is focused on the squirrel. Just come down. I'm going to chase you again. And for the pig that is having a mud bath, that's all it's worried about. That's all. Pig, buffalo, all these, they love mud baths because they can remain cool. So, the buffalo, is not worried about anything, just that. And then in a similar fashion, just like all the beasts that we see, going about their, desirable pursuits. Nobody is completely involved in an undesirable pursuit. Only in the desirable pursuits is one involved. So involved. So just like all these beasts, donkeys taking a bath in the Ganga, you should see. Oh my God, it's amazing. And they are not aware of anything else. So donkeys, elephants, rhinos, and this buffaloes, pigs, they're all just rolling in the mud. And similarly, the dog is attentive. When will this cat or squirrel, whatever has climbed up the tree, when is it going to come down? It doesn't take its eyes off the target. It is sitting there patiently waiting to, chase it again. So similarly, that's why it is the word that is used here is jantuhu. Jantuhu means a creature, because when one is so occupied in the objects, one is no different than a beast, an animal that doesn't know any better, that doesn't have, that doesn't have the viveka, that there is something else to pursue, that this pursuit of the squirrel is taking time away from how I could pursue the truth of myself, so that when I pursue the truth of myself, I will no longer be dog, I will be God. G-O-D, no, D-O-G, so no more D-O-G, G-O-D, I'll change the spelling of my name. No, it doesn't have any idea. Why? Because it is ignorant, and because it is ignorant of itself, but it doesn't know that it is ignorant of itself. It has enough self-consciousness to protect itself and to reproduce, to recognize species of its own kind and to recognize species other than itself. That's about the knowledge that all the animals have. Maybe a few more ragadveshas. I like squirrel. I don't like squirrels, but I like chasing them. Therefore, I like chasing them. I like dog treats. I don't like this. I don't like that. All these, few ragadveshas they have to deploy. So, how is that different from the person who is endowed with a human body but still goes chasing various kinds of ragadvesha squirrels up the tree? How is that different? No difference at all. One is chasing something or the other, somewhere or the other, all the time pursuing something with so much samasakti. Samasakti means that samyak asakti means the total love. So there is not just ekagrata, there is not just one-pointed focus, single-pointed focus. Asakti means total love for that, and then total, the sum there means the, the attention. So when the love is there, the attention is there. So all the pursuits in the world demanding that much love and attention and care, this person has no problem to give that, to give those pursuits that much attention, love and care. That's why in the Bhaja Govindam it says, in answer to an anticipated and an oft asked question, when is the correct time to study Brahma Vidya? Maybe we should start young, when one is a child. Balastavat krida saktah. No, the child is the asakti, saktah, same word here. So the child is completely involved in its toys and games and play. It cannot understand Brahman because it is totally focused on what? Play, krida saktah. Or maybe young, young man, young woman. Tarunastavat taruni raktah. Taruna means what? The young man is totally interested in, the young person is interested in another young person. The young adult is interested in another young adult and totally pursuing that young adult. And so therefore there is no time and there is no space, there is no attention for Brahman. See, we knew this all along. That's why we should wait till retirement. And after retirement is the best time because all the responsibilities are done. Then what happens? Vriddhascha tavat chintam agnah. So, the person who is elderly, old, retired is what? Fully involved with all kinds of worries. How will I die? When will I die? Will I be bedridden for a long time? Or will it be quick like that? What will happen? Will my children come and visit me? I'll be in a nursing home, but will they at least come once a year on Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthday, Deepavali Day, some festival day, will they come? This is all. And will they get along with one another? Even now they don't get along. Afterwards, how will they get along? And what about all the property that I have amassed? Will it have, I have made a will, and will they, will they or won't they? Will they respect the will, or will the will become a big won't, and they will fight amongst themselves and what to do? And I have given a DNR, don't resuscitate, but then what if they just put me on indefinitely on a respirator, and these kinds of worries. So where is this place? When is the right time to study Brahman? The answer according to Bhaja Govindam should be never. Or the answer according to this verse in the Bhaja Govindam should be all the time, anytime. Anytime one is ready. Make use of the desire, But our desire is what? Kadachit kaha. drops in, drops out, drops in, drops out. It's a kind of a flickering mumukshutvam, like a tiny lamp somewhere, that is threatening to be assailed by the winds of what? Personal gains and losses. Yeah, that's what it is. And so this flickering mumukshutvam goes in and out. Suddenly one remembers Vedanta when things are going difficult. When things are difficult in life, suddenly he says, oh, there used to be those online classes. Where are they? I thought I had a good time when I made the time to take them. And so suddenly somebody will log on. And then what? And then it cools down again. So this is what is called kadachit kaha. So sometimes. So this kadachit kaha means kabhi kabhi fellow. Yes, there was even one song. Kabhi kabhi mere dil mein khayal aata hai. Sometimes I think of what? You can fill in the blanks. Vedanta. Sometimes I think of Upanishads once in a while. Oh, that Upanishad was nice. Well, I'm really busy now. I have to, go do these things. And then, so therefore what? The one is no different from a jantu. Therefore the verse does not give does not even deign to respect the person with the epithet of a human being. If you want to be called a human being, the verse seems to say, behave like one, okay? Yeah, behave like one. So how should a human being behave? Think about why this body has been given. Think about why you are not having a jantu life this time. Yeah. And let go of the previous and notice that the previous samskara of sitting and waiting for the squirrel to come down in some previous life. The previous samskara of territoriality, all this is mine, you can let go. Notice that it is there. And then what? Notice that there is a dissatisfaction centered on the self. Notice that, that this needs to change. And notice that this is not centered on action. This cannot be centered on action. Action, reaction, action, reaction. It is not centered on action. So what is it centered on? It is centered on knowledge, because notice that the problem is because of self-ignorance, because of which you make a mistake, centered on the self, based on seeing what is not real as real. Seeing the insecurity as real, seeing the pain as real, seeing the sorrow as real, seeing the unconscious that we talked about yesterday as real. And because of that, you try to fix all those things. And so that which, and all the effort, energy, focus goes in trying to fix the insecurity through action. And if insecurity were real, then okay, act to remove it. But the insecurity is again, chittameva hi samsaraha tat prayatnena shodhayet, we have seen. The insecurity is centered, is internal, centered on the self, and so therefore what? Karma doesn't work, therefore I have to resort to knowledge, I have to find, a teacher, I have to study, I have to expose myself to the knowledge. And what this verse is finally saying is, the same love with which you pursued the squirrel, or whatever the squirrel was there in the other life, in other lives, squirrel, etc. The same love with which you are chasing other objects of, raga, other objects that you are fond of, other pursuits and objects, the same attention you are putting into that, put into this pursuit, which is what? Brahman, which is yourself. So the same fervor with which you are pursuing objects, when you pursue the subject, then yadi evam. So if indeed in the same manner Brahmani syat, so in Brahman it was what? Samasaktam chittam. That same thing from we have to do anuvritti, we have to bring it down again. Samasaktam yatha chittam. So just like your single pointed focus and single-minded focus driven by the love of objects, events, situations and pursuits, with the fervor with which you are pursuing, if the same fervor was directed to the pursuit of yourself as Brahman, tat kona muchyeta bandhanat, then who, my dear, would not be freed from sorrow? Who would not be freed from bondage? Who would not be freed from fear? So you see, really you have it. So the decision is up to you. You can decide whether to pursue the object or the subject with the same fervor that you devote to object pursuits. So to pursue jnanam, exclusively needs, atma jnanam needs a lot of emotional maturity. And so it is difficult to pursue this single-handedly, regardless of everything that's going on. That's why the previous mantra gave an option. Chittasya prasada, it talked about, what to do. I mean, I can't stop pursuing objects. So what should I do? Because I'm interested in the subject, but I can't seem to stop pursuing objects because there are a lot of desires. Well, pursue the objects for the sake of preparing yourself to pursue the subject. How to do that? How to direct the pursuit which is towards the object, towards the whatever, object of love, in order for preparation. That is what is called karma yoga. Pursue it wholeheartedly, pursue it dharmically, pursue it righteously, and if nothing happens, have chitta prasada. Don't sit and whine about it. Have what? Have a cheerful acceptance and pursue it by letting go of doership. Say, Bhagavan, I really want this. It's in your hands. I am just a proxy actor. And whatever comes is because of you, Bhagavan. You are the giver of the fruits of action. It is okay. Better luck next time. Maybe I'll try next time. Maybe I'll do something else. So this attitude, if the attitude towards the pursuit of the object is changed, one is no longer a jantu. One is very much a mumukshu, and the flickering mumukshutvam, that light of mumukshutvam which was tiny, starts to be a steady and a bigger flame. And yatha deepo nivatasthaha nengate sopamasmrita. Sa upamasmrita, this example was recalled, says Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter. And what does he say? Yatha deepaha nivatasthaha. So like the light without vata, nivata, devoid of a strong wind. No, so there is no more flickering, there is steadiness. Yes, I acknowledge I can't drop the objects, but I want the subject, so I transform the pursuit of the objects into the pursuit of all the values, attitudes, shraddha, devotion, etc. that I need in order to qualify to pursue the subject. This is what the whole thing is. And if that is the attitude, then freedom is assured. Moksha comes and knocks on the door, and says, can I come in? That is what the whole thing is, And so that is a very, important verse, and this, a very beautiful set of verses. Mano hidvividham proktam shuddham cha shuddhameva cha ashuddham kama sankalpam shuddham kama vivarjitam. Let me check if it is the same one there. Yeah, here also there is a little bit of a Patha Bheda, but nothing to worry because this one that we just chanted is grammatically correct. So this mantra should be familiar for the people who have studied or listened to the CDs on the Amritabindu Upanishad. Yeah, Amritabindu Upanishad. This is the opening mantra of the Amritabindu Upanishad, and and here, so this is after understanding this chitta prasada is to be cultivated, and how to cultivate the chitta prasada was also given. And now what happens is that there is a further discussion on how to groom or tame the mind, and a further discussion on how to look upon the mind, and how to make it more oriented towards the pursuit of oneself rather than the pursuit of all kinds of various things in the universe. And and here a question can come: if everything is Atma, what does it matter what I pursue? True, it doesn't matter, but do you know that what you are pursuing is Atma? No. Exactly, because if you know that everything is Atma, all pursuits drop. This one thing we have to really understand and remember to begin with. What is that? That once one knows the Atma, the pursuits are more, the pursuits may be there, but they are more prarabdha oriented. One pursues things because one is meant to, and like Adi Shankara, after gaining the knowledge, he wrote a lot of commentaries because he was meant to, and it was not for him, it was for us. Yeah. Sureshwaracharya wrote Vartika, and some other teachers sat and taught, and some other teachers went and, some other teachers went and became activists to help the people, to inspire the people. So really speaking, whatever pursuit comes after understanding and having nishtha in the knowledge is not for oneself. It is for loka sangraha. It is for the sake of benefiting everybody. So therefore, the pursuit drop means it's not that the person doesn't get out of bed. The jnani is always in bed because there is nothing to do, because being in bed is also an action. So what are we talking about? We are talking about the pursuits, the frantic pursuit to gain approval, self-approval, and to get rid of self-loath, self-critique, self-judgment, self-non-acceptance. Those pursuits form 99.9% of people's lives, and that is what drops. They may be doing something, but either that is for the sharira yatra, to keep up the body, to keep it going as long as it is supposed to be on this earth, and they may be doing other things, which is what? To help other people. So that is what it is. And so, therefore, what this has to be understood very, very, very clearly. Otherwise, one thinks, one can get confused. Why are you bringing this duality? Because if everything is Atma, why can't I just continue doing what I am doing? Yeah. So, because if you know that everything is Atma, then who is pursuing whom? Really? It's like a dog chasing its tail. It's meaningless. So that this is to be understood. So now the nature of the mind is given very beautifully. Manohi dvividham proktam. The mind is said to be of two kinds. Mind here means the antahkarana. Antahkarana, the inner instrument of thinking, feeling, intellection, decision, and ahankara, which owns up all these attributes as itself. The one that identifies with the I notion, that identifies with all of them. That is what is meant here by the mind. Manaha hi dvividham proktam. Two kinds of minds are talked about. The mind can be said to be of two kinds. And it's very simple. Sanskrit, this everybody can understand. Shuddhancha ashuddhamevacha. So one type of mind is called Shuddha, pure. Pure. And then what? Ashuddha, what is that? Everybody knows. Impure. Impure mind and pure mind. So Shuddha ahankara and Shuddha Antahkarana and Ashuddha Antahkarana. Two kinds of minds are talked about. And then what? What is Ashuddha and what is Shuddha? First let us take up Ashuddha. Ashuddham Kama Sankalpam. So the impure mind is said to be the one that is possessed by desire. This is a very important distinction. Possessed by desire. You know the meaning of the word possessed? What? Means owned by desire. So the mind is not free. Why? Because one thinks the mind is pursuing things, but that is really true only in the beginning. It's like going and catching the tail of the tiger. So in the beginning, this person shows a lot of, what is that? Lot of macho-ness, and goes and firmly he caught the tail of the tiger with his two hands and said to his friend, his startled and frightened friend, quick, take a photo of me with the tiger. The friend was prudent and ran away. So no selfie with the tiger was possible because both of the hands he is holding the tail. And the tiger was sleeping. And then, of course, if someone holds the tail, naturally it will wake up. It woke up and looked back and saw this undesirable fellow holding its tail. And then, he was scared. It was also scared of him. And so it started running with him holding the tail in tow. It ran and ran and ran. And he was half lying in the air and half being dragged on the ground. But he dare not let go of the tiger's tail. Why? You can imagine what will happen. The tiger will quickly make a U-turn and eat him. This is what will happen. So these desires, all kinds of desires, fancies that, I wish I had a big house. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. I wish I had 10 children. These are all so strange desires. I want to go here. I want to go there. Wanderlust. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to be somebody. All these desires in the beginning, they are very small, comely. It's like having a small kitten on the lap. Oh, so cute. And how sweetly it is lying down and let me pet it. And then what happens? It becomes a huge problem because one is no longer possessing the desire. One is possessed by desire. This is what is called Ashuddha Manaha. The Ashuddha Antahkarana. This is what is the impurity. The impurity is not in the fact that there are ragadveshas in the mind. No. Sarvesham buddhau ragadveshau vyavasthitau. This is what the Bhagavad Gita says. In every buddhi there are ragas and dveshas. There are desires for and against things. No problem. What is the problem? Tayor vashamna agachet tau hiyasya paripanthinau. When do those desires become inimical? When do those desires go rogue? They go rogue when you come under their spell. So the Ashuddha Antahkarana is that which has come under the spell of the binding desires in the form of ragadveshas, does no longer possess the desires, is possessed by the desires, like the silly fellow who's catching the tail of the tiger and cannot let go. This is what it is. Can you now say he is catching the tail of the tiger? No. Now the tiger's tail has caught him. That is what it is. That is what any pursuit is. You think about it, any pursuit is tiger's tail. Lifelong, lifelong, what is that? Musibat. Musibat means difficulties, troubles, lifelong problems. One decision, oh my God, one wrong decision. The whole life one is, that's where one is repenting and resenting. Act in haste and repent at leisure. There is a saying like that. So therefore what? Therefore understand this very clearly. Ashuddham kama sankalpam means, that asakti, it is possessed by desire. So it's not a mind that contains the desires, no. Because we are not striving for a desireless antahkarana. We are striving for an antahkarana where the desires for objects drop in the wake of the understanding, that I am ignorant of myself and I have a problem centered on myself. That's why I'm insecure. In the wake of the understanding, one changes the pursuit and there is place to pursue the subject. So therefore the desire for the objects is replaced by the desire to know the subject. This is what needs to happen. But until that happens, it's a mind that is possessed by desires. Okay? Ashuddham kama sankalpam, shuddham kama vivarjitam. And so the pure heart or mind, the shuddha antahkarana, is the one where the desires have settled down. Yeah, vivarjitam means, vivarjita, even though it means devoid of desire, devoid of pressure creating desires, we have to add here, because the Upanishad is always a lady of few words. So we have to fill in the blanks and add this in keeping with the the teaching. So here, just like the Bhagavad Gita also says, Tayor vasham na agachet. Tayoho means what? The ragadvesha, so don't come under the spell of the ragadvesha. Ragadveshayoho vasham na agachet. So don't come under the spell of the ragadveshas. So the shuddha antahkarana is where the person is not, hounded by the desires, where the person is a manager of the desire, where the desire does not manage the person. So these are the two kinds of minds. And what kind of mind should one have? One should have a mind that is what? That is at peace, with itself. A mind that is quiet, relatively, in order to pursue this knowledge. This is the rest of the verses is how to have a conducive mind, conducive antahkarana to pursue this knowledge. Otherwise one has an inimical antahkarana where everything becomes a problem, because this antahkarana that is filled with ragadveshas, what happens? It takes one for a ride and it inhibits the knowledge. Yeah. How does it inhibit the knowledge? Because if the antahkarana is full of ragadveshas and troubled by them, there is no place for the knowledge. Even if the teacher teaches, it doesn't go in. Why? Because there's too many distractions. Yeah. And too many, too many chips on the shoulders. Too many problems. Everything is internalized. Oh, I have a terrible mind. Oh, I must have a shuddha mind. Everything becomes a complex. And so, like this, therefore, the first thing to do is to work for chitta shuddhi. And chitta shuddhi or antahkarana shuddhi, how it will come and all is going to be explained. So we will just go along with the verses. And so this is the two kinds of minds. This is just a opening mantra for the Amritabindu Upanishad. Very beautiful. And and the next mantra is also I believe the second mantra in the Amritabindu Upanishad. Let us look at that. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho bandhaya vishayasaktam muktam nirvishayam smritam. So the mind is for the person, manushyanam, for all the people. What is that? The mind is the cause of what? The mind is the cause of bandha or moksha. This we have already seen in detail, because samsara is where? In the mind. Yeah. So a mind that is, that has no chitta prasada, and that has no acceptance, no devotion, no yearning for spiritual knowledge or spiritual growth, no emotional maturity, will naturally be what? Be subject to what is called bandha. Bandha, subject to bandha. So, because the mind is the cause of bondage, bondage within quotes, because of wrong thinking. And the mind which is on the correct thinking is the cause of liberation, leads to liberation. Cause of liberation means is the fitting receptacle for liberation, for moksha. Because the moksha is already a siddha vastu, is already a fact. The moksha doesn't have to be produced, thank God. Thank God for a few things in life where the moksha doesn't have to be produced. Jnana also doesn't have to be produced. In fact, there is nothing produced. That, only that which eclipses the truth of the self is removed through the knowledge. And what is the eclipsing factor that inhibits darshan of Bhagavan for me? What is that? That is raga and dvesha. So the ashuddhi is removed, and so therefore what? The mind is available for the knowledge, and it's as good as free. When it's free of all these things, then it leads to liberation. That's what the whole thing is. So bandhaya, so this is the first line. Mana eva manushyana karanam bandha mokshayoho bandhaya vishayasaktam, and then what? Muktam nirvishayam smritam. So, bandhaya vishayasaktam. So, meaning the vishayasakti leads to bondage. So, what leads to bondage? The notion of bondage. The notion that I am bound comes from addiction to objects. Vishayasakti, addiction to objects. In fact, the word vishaya, vishinoti badhnati iti vishayaha. So that which binds is called vishaya in Sanskrit. That is the grammatical vyutpatti. Amazing. So therefore what? So vishinoti means that which binds is called vishaya. So the desire for these objects is the cause of bondage. Why? Because it leads one on an addictive spree. It leads one on an addictive spree. One wants to keep being addicted and addicted and addicted, and because you strive for the object, and then what? You don't get it, and then it becomes it becomes a prestige issue now. I have to get it, I have to get it, I have to get it. If not this, I have to get something else. And if not that, I have to get something else. And in the process, one forgets or goes against one's values, one's, buddhi, one's dharma, everything. And so what happens? And then therefore, one is in a constant addiction. Samsara becomes addictive for the mind that is beset with ragadveshas, unmanageable, pressure-filled ragadveshas. This is what the whole thing is. Because the more one tries to fulfill these nonsensical desires, the more there are. And all desires are what? Are a spoof, because they are all desires for the Atma. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati, in anticipation of the morning class. So this is what the whole thing is. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Everything becomes lovable for the sake of the Atma alone, for your own sake. And so therefore instead of looking at what is this Atma, if one tries to fill up the infinite, without trying to discover the infinite is always under a permanent landfill of useless desires that have gone and died and then come back to life and then died. In fact, they never die. They are all non-biodegradable mass of desires. and the Atma is buried somewhere underneath, and supposedly maybe it is calling for help. This is what the whole thing is. And so therefore what? Bandhaya Vishayasaktam. So this mind, first it was divided into two, Ashuddha and Shuddha, and Ashuddha, we were told, is the one that is possessed of desire. Shuddha is the one where the desires are properly managed and they have the properly prioritized. And then what? Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandhamokshayoho. So the mind itself is the cause of the notion of freedom, the notion of bondage are both centered on the mind. And a mind that feels itself bound is due to being possessed by objects of desires. And muktam nirvishayam smritam. And so when freed of not the objects, addiction to objects, then it becomes the cause of liberation. It becomes, in other words, ready for liberation. Yeah, it becomes ready for liberation, and the liberation happens in the while being taught by the Upanishad that one is already free. But for this, there's some housekeeping is required. Yeah, some housekeeping is required. Like if you want to bring a cherished object home and put it in a nice predominant place to show off, then few other things have to be cleaned up. Maybe you have to get rid of things that are not needed and will not go with the new decor. So like this, or the old priorities of the mind are gone. And so it's like interior remodeling and redecoration. You have to, dress the mind in order to be you have to dress the mind properly so that it can address issues of self-knowledge and this whole notion of bondage, liberation, etc. Therefore, the mind has to be, that is all in one's hand to do that. Okay. Then next one. Laya vikshepa rahitam manaha. Laya vikshepa. Again, let me look at the other one. Maybe there's some funny thing going on with the meter. It is either some poetic license or something is missing. Let's see. Yeah, no, it is okay. We have to chant it a little differently, that's all. Daya vikshepa rahitam manah kritva sunischalam yada yatatmani bhavam tada tat paramam padam. So, Laya vikshepa rahitam manah kritva sunischalam. So what to do now? What to do now is to have a mind, how to have a mind that is ready for moksha, ready for the knowledge that one is already free. How to develop this kind of a mind. This is what this next verse is addressing. So one has to make the mind laya rahita and vikshepa rahita, because these are the two ways the mind can get distracted. Laya we know very well. What is laya? That which happens effortlessly in Vedanta class. Oh, that which happens effortlessly in Vedanta class. Atmajnanam, Akhandakara vritti? No, not that. Then what happens effortlessly in Vedanta class? What is it that happens effortlessly in Vedanta class? Yes, exactly. Without any, without any effort, it happens in Vedanta class. What happens, sleep. This is what is called Laya. Laya means, Laya means, Gudaka Devi's blessings. Gudaka Devi is the goddess of sleep. Yes, I'm not going to tell that story. Okay, so sound sleep. Yes, so actually in Vedanta class generally sound sleep doesn't come. It's a sleep that makes a sound doesn't come. It's a light, wonderful sleep, because the mind knows I should not snore, because there are other people also in the room. So online it doesn't matter, but in the room there are other people also. So it's not a sleep that makes sound. What is it? It is more of a light and wonderful sleep where suddenly one stops listening. Suddenly one stops listening. And why does one stop listening? One stops listening because one doesn't, one is not there. One has gone. So laya is, this is in meditation. So this one thing is in meditation. In meditation, one has to, what is that? There are two problems. Meditation, even Vedanta, Shravanam is like meditation, so it applies in Shravanam also. So what is that? Laya, sleep. Because Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, one goes off. Why? Because one is not used to being relaxed and not asleep. One doesn't know, really, honestly. In the beginning of this pursuit, one doesn't know the difference between deep relaxation and sleep. Because the only kind of relaxation one is familiar with is sleep. That's why people who are, yogis and meditators, they don't need that much sleep because they know how to put the body in a place of relaxation. And first in meditation, and even when they are not meditating, they have the ability to access those, whatever they are called, delta waves or something like that in the brain. They have that ability through the spiritual practices. They have the ability to do that, and so therefore they don't need as much sleep as, as someone else who is unfamiliar with these practices. And so therefore the sleep has to be avoided in the meditation, Yeah. So laya has to be avoided, and then, and then what? The second problem in the meditation and in Shravanam is vikshepa. Vikshepa means distraction, where the mind just goes away even while listening. And this is very evident in a live class. I'll be looking at a person and suddenly their eyes glaze over and, and they're thinking of something else. It's very clear. Then thankfully there'll be other people in the class, so I start looking at someone else. So I'm looking at the person and then they fall asleep right when I'm looking at them. And so, these are the two problems, laya and vikshepa. So vikshepa means distraction, where other thoughts come and the focus goes away. Laya means where no thought comes and one goes into sleep. So these are the two problems, and so for this we need what is called, so chitta shuddhi has been talked about at length. Chitta shuddhi we saw. Now the discussion is what? Chitta nischalyam. Chitta nischalyam means the nischalata, the non-moving mind has to be developed. So chitta shuddhi is developed by karma yoga. We have seen that. So antahkarana shuddhi or chitta shuddhi is developed by karma yoga, which is a dedicated and committed practice of devotion, and where one dedicates all of one's actions and the notion that one is an actor to Bhagavan and learns to act in tandem with what is correct, what is right, what is swadharma, what is correct for oneself, and then one learns to accept the results of action for with a cheerful mind, all for the sake of self growth. And then chitta nischalyam means a mind that is unwavering, a focus, so that one is not carried away by the thoughts. And so this is chitta shuddhi, is what is called bahiranga sadhana, a practice which is outward focused because it involves subject object actions. Here this action is antaranga sadhana. It's a spiritual practice for developing a focused mind. So this is now, we are talking about meditation, antaranga sadhana. And this antaranga sadhana means one has to kritva sunishchalam. That's why chitta nischalyam is indicated by sunishchalam. So meaning making the mind steady through the practice of meditation, without sleep, without distraction. In other words, whenever sleep comes, you bring the mind back. Whenever distraction happens, you bring the mind back. Okay? And then yada, when the person yati atmani bhavam, yada yati atmani bhavam. Atmani bhavam means what? The Atmani bhavam means when one is able to stay with oneself. Yeah. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha sthita pragyaha tada uchyate. Where have we heard this? Huh? Yeah, very good. Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, description of the Jnani. Yes, very good. Everyone knows this very famous mantra, very famous verse. And it was not even, I commend all of you because it was not even chanted in tune. Atman eva atmana tushtaha. If I had said that and you had guessed, that's still good, but not as good as this. It was just said in prose. It was amazing. You all found out. Wonderful. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. One is pleased as oneself. Being oneself, one is pleased. And then what? So what to do now? The nothing to do. Tada tat paramam gatam. You have reached the goal. Yeah, paramam padam means that is the ultimate, that is moksha. What more is there to do? Nothing. Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha, sukheshu vigata sprihaha, vitaraga bhayakrodhaha, sthitadhir munir uchyate. So the sthitadhihi, the one whose buddhi is firmly established in the knowledge, is the one who in sorrow is unafflicted. The mind is unafflicted in sorrow, and in happiness the mind is not addicted to that happiness from the contact. In situations of happiness, the mind doesn't become glommed on or addicted to those situations. And then what? So atmani eva atmana tushtaha vitaraga bhayakrodhaha. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha means what? The one is happy being oneself. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. And so as the fancies arise in the mind, the person is able to give them up without any addiction. The fancies come, fancies go, like the leaves in autumn falling over a moving river. The leaf drops, the river moves, another leaf drops, the river moves. So the mind is like the river. It does not hold on to the leaves. It does not get sad. It does not, get ecstatic. It is free of those opposites, and it is tranquil. And so this tranquility, where one is not afflicted by whatever is happening in the Jagat, is what is called Paramam Padam. It is called the Moksha. Moksha, this is what is called moksha. Now we have two more verses. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. If samasaktam yada chittam etc. is like behaving like an animal, how about getting lost in dhyana, sometimes what people call a bliss, that we derive singing, listening to music, forgetting ourselves, is supposed to provide chitta shuddhi. There is no room for disturbance. Okay, so what is the difference between pursuing, it's a very interesting question. And what's the difference between pursuing all these things that we talked about as though, like a beast, bestial pursuits, prakrita buddhi, where one is always distracted by this or that, versus, pursuing meditation, pursuing bhajans, pursuing devotion like a ritual, where one is lost, that is more of a samskrita buddhi pursuits, yeah. Because it's closer to the sattvic mind. It is bringing out the sattvic mind. So therefore those pursuits are sattvic. So then they bring you closer to yourself. So listening to music, we can't just say listening to music. Heavy metal is not going to bring you closer to yourself. Yeah. It's going to hate yourself even more. But something which causes a certain laya, because the mind is better than sleep, is to say that, is to think of, bhajans and all that. But because there is a certain laya there, but that laya is closer to who you are. Yeah. So you go into satsang, because even listening to Shravanam, that is not a bestial pursuit, because that is something where a certain finer aspects of the mind are cultivated. Even reading a book like a biography of a saint, there is a finer aspects of the mind are cultivated. So that's why it is allowed. It is allowed. And then second one, isn't it contradictory where one should seek happiness in doing karma and not karma phala? No, and it's not contradictory, because it doesn't say one should seek happiness in doing karma. No, you can't avoid doing karma. Bhagavad Gita says, न तु कश्चित् क्षणमपि जातु कर्मणि atandritah. So even one minute you cannot avoid karma. So do karma prayerfully. It doesn't say seek happiness. Do karma prayerfully and be happy with whatever comes. Seek happiness in the result of action. Yeah. Seek happiness in whatever karma phala comes. Be cheerful, accepting. That is what it says. Okay? Yeah. And karmani eva adhikarahate ma phaleshu kadachana means that you have only the right to, it's a fact, you have right over the action, not over the result. That is a fact. Okay? Yeah. So more we'll see in the morning. Om.